Hi everybody, this is Michael Hildebrand and I'm your host on the Sleeptrust podcast, where I'm talking about how to gain back trust in your ability to have a superb sleep again.
In this week's episode of the Sleeptrust podcast, we're going to take advantage of the new year. I think New Year resolutions are super powerful, and even more power gets into them if we are able to execute correctly. And I'm going to walk you through a guide to do exactly that for your health in 2021. I think it was Matthew Walker who pointed out that if some kind of a company, a pharmaceutical company, would have a pill that includes all the benefits that sleep has, this company would be rich right out of the bat. They would sell these pills like crazy. And the best thing is, we do not have to take pills. It's there for us for free. We just have to do a couple of things right to get back into the state, to get and let us get the right amount of sleep, the right quality of sleep. And that's going to improve our health. So if you had a hard 2020 so far, your health was just not that good maybe, you felt exhausted at times, and you might have even felt frustrated because you tried to do something against it, but you felt stuck, then we're going to start progressing today, set us up for progress for 2021, and get very clear on a couple of concrete steps that you can take right now to elevate your sleep and with that, your health in 2021. So let's get started right away because it's a big topic. And I think essentially what we're going to do today, just to stay in the picture of New Year, is that I'm going to hand over the rocket to you, like a firework rocket and a lighter and something that you could put the rocket in, but you have to light up that rocket. And a couple of you are, I could see you like, oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's big fun. And actually, to use this picture in the correct way, I'm actually speaking to the people that are like, oh, fireworks. Oh no, I'm not really sure. It's kind of dangerous. I don't want to touch them. I don't really want to do that. So, and this is the point where you have to be brave. Like, you've got everything you need after this podcast. You have to take the firework, the rocket, and turn on the lighter, put it into, exactly how I'm going to walk you through today, light that thing up and let it shoot up into heaven, and then enjoy how wonderful it looks when it explodes in the sky. So what we're going to do today is to kickstart 2021 by getting very clear and specific on where we want to be in 2021 when it comes to our health, to our sleep. And to do so, I'm going to hand over a tool to you. We're going to walk through this, and it's something that is really fundamental. A lot of people skip this part. They start with the practice, like doing things for their sleep or their health or whatever. But it's essential to have our minds aligned with what we actually want to do to take the right actions down the road. So we're going to walk through a system, and I'm going to hand over a tool to you, actually, a system that is proven. So it doesn't matter if you're coming from the business side of things or the personal development side of things. When it comes to goals, there are things that are proven to work. In business world, people often use the so-called SMART system when it comes to defining their goals. And SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. So there are a couple of things that you need to have in place when it comes to your goals, business-wise, but personal development-wise, and that's kind of the thing that's often missing with the SMART thing is like, why are we going to do this? Where's the motivation? And we're going to bring all of this together into a thing that's called a goal card, and we're going to call it a sleep goal card or your health goal card. It doesn't really matter. Depending on which learning type you are, you might want to pause the podcast here, get yourself a sheet of paper and a pen and take notes, or you simply continue to listen to the podcast, and you can always listen to it a second time. And I'm going to hand over a goal card that you can print and fill in the information later, so you're not going to miss out on anything if you don't get that sheet of paper right now. But, for some people, it's just easier to get their head around things when they start to scribble around. So what we're going to do now is to create a sleep or health goal card. And we're going to do so by covering 4 aspects, and we're going to write these things down. So we're going to get very specific and clear, and writing things down pushes us to get very clear. Because quite frequently we've got thoughts in our mind and we think we're clear on things, but as soon as we have to write them down or explain them to others, we see that there are black spots, and we don't want to have black spots when it comes to something so important and essential as our health, as our sleep. So we're going to write things down. And there are going to be 4 categories that we're going to cover, and I'm going to walk you through each and every of them right now. So the very first thing that we're going to do is to write down what we want to achieve. And we're going to do so by writing down one short sentence that kind of hits the nail when it comes to what we're doing here. So this could look something like, I will sleep superbly, or I will feel energized. You're going to get down to the core of the thing that is important for you and phrase it into a kind of like a headline. I want it to be easy to get out of bed in the morning and feel good right away. Something like that. It's different from person to person, so there's no right or wrong here. You just have to tap into what's important for you. And the key here is to keep it short, like one sentence. That's more than enough. If you read that, you should say, okay, that's it. That's why I'm doing this. The things that we're going to do, because this is just a goal card, right? We have to take action afterwards. So as soon as you've got that, we're going to move on to the second part. And this is to get specific around what that means for you. And we're going to put in a little bit more than a sentence probably into this section here. This can be like 2-3 sentences. Get very clear on how it will look when you reach your goal. Like, I want to feel energized when I get out of bed in the morning. I want to be happy. I want to be in a good mood. I want to feel balanced, emotionally balanced over the course of the day. I want to enjoy going to work. I want to feel like, healthy. I want to be, I nearly said I don't want to be sick, but try to keep it positive. So rather than saying I don't want to be sick, write down something like, I want to feel healthy the entire year. How will it look when you achieved your goal? You can write down something like, I want to have a regular sleep schedule. I want to go to bed on time. I want to value sleep as the source of my health. I want to, something like that. And you can play around with this. Write down things. So that would be, something that I would hand over to you to just write down things, a couple of things, and then read them and tap into the emotion. What feels best for you? And you'll notice, if you have a sentence that is really great, you might want to take 2 sentences or parts out of 2 or 3 sentences and create one sentence out of that, just picking the points that relate to you most. So the thing here is that we want to get specific. And the last thing that we want to do when we put our personal bits and pieces together is to rewrite everything, setting it into present tense. Writing things in present tense just feels so powerful. It feels as if you already achieved your goal, and that's going to give you an additional support from your unconscious mind. So instead of writing, I want to feel energized when I get out of bed, write, I now feel energized when I get out of bed. Or even better, with a little bit of gratitude inside, like, I am so thankful that I now feel energized every single day when I get out of bed. When we've got that done, we're going to move to the next section, which is when exactly. Oh, and by the way, I nearly forgot one important thing when it comes to getting specific. Also think about why you are doing this. So add in a little bit of motivation. The purpose is super powerful. If we want to feel good changing things, we need to know why. So if I'm doing things for my spouse, for my kids, for a colleague, for myself, because for myself, because I'm I know that things that I'm doing here will serve me well. It doesn't matter if it's for my career, my health, my wealth, my relationships, whatever. If I know that and that's my purpose, I'm going to be motivated like hell to get those things done that need to be done to achieve my goal, right? So add in something that is a purpose-driven motivation for you. Are you doing things for your kids? Do you want to be a better mother, better dad? Have more fun playing games with them? Be able to listen more intensely to your kids, your spouse, your colleagues? Really listening, like not listening with your ears, but rather listening with your minds and your emotions, like you're connected and you truly listen to what people are saying. All of these things, write them down and then create, the essential thing here. I think it's probably the most important part of this goal card. That's why I'm hanging on here a little bit. So get specific on how it will look for you and why you're going to do this. So let's move on to the third block here. The only thing that we want to do here is to fill in a specific date when we will have achieved our goal. So talking in the SMART language, the business SMART language when it comes to goals, we're going to terminate our goal here and we're going to put in something that is realistic or reasonable for us. We never know if we are able to achieve our goal in 3 days, 30 days, 3 months, but it should feel reasonable and realistic in the moment that we fill in the date. So just tap into your feeling. If you have been faced with sleep problems over maybe years, then 3 weeks might not feel good for you. You might want to put in something like 3 months, even though I've seen people that have recovered in 3 weeks. But it should feel realistic and reasonable to you. So put in something that kind of, that aligns with your feelings and that is realistic. So now we're going to move on to the fourth and last part of our goal card. And what we're going to do here is to plan our success. So we're going to plan out the things that we want to do, that we need to do, that will keep us moving into the right direction. And this is like an art. So we do not want to get too specific. It's not like Monday I want to do this, Tuesday I'm going to do that, Thursday, and so on. And we also don't want to end up with some kind of very vague things that are in the clouds that will get us nowhere. So the art is to stick and hang around somewhere in between that leaves us with very specific actions that have enough flexibility to let us moving. And this, just this sentence alone sounds like, okay, I have to explain this. A good goal for your plan could be, I will test 1 new sleep improver a week. I will measure my success daily. These are things that will set the frame that we want to do daily, set the frame and keep us moving into the right direction, and will still give us the flexibility to test things, to move in things that we need to do at a certain point when we know that we need to do them, because we might not know what we need to do on Thursday, right? So this is a part where I recommend that you really sit down, think about this. This can be fun too. Just, thinking about this, writing down a couple of things, and then picking 1, 2, 3 things that will really serve you well if you do them in the long haul. So, and that's basically all that's to it. So now that we've got our goal card, we wrote these things down, and you probably have to sit down in a quiet place and moment at home or wherever you find that place, or in a coffee, in a bar, whatever, and write down these things. And when you've got your goal card clear, so you know what you want to achieve, got that one sentence, you got very specific around how you're going to achieve it, how it's going to look like, and why. You got specific around the date, you got it terminated, you got it realistic, and you got that plan, what you need to do. You brought in all your artist features to get that plan up and running, then you want to have that so at least that's true for me. I want to have it in a beautiful version. So I would rewrite that afterwards, that it looks wonderful, that you love touching it, you love reading it, and then read it twice a day. Best do so the first thing when you get up in the morning. Your mind is going to get aligned with what you really want, what you really need to do, and until when, and before you go to bed, because these are the things that really sink into our unconscious. You probably experienced that more than once, that you had a thought before you went to bed, and when you wake up in the morning, you still have that thought in your mind, or you even have a solution to that thought. So read it first thing in the morning, read it last thing at night, and take action. But that's the next step. Like, we're setting up our mind for success now, and afterwards, we're going to move on. In this podcast too, I think down the road, I'm going to do another couple of podcasts to make it easier for you, to keep you going on this journey, to really kickstart 2021, to feel healthy, feel well rested. And I know you can do that. And I really hope that you take your time to fill in this goal card, to create your personal version. And if you do so and use it, then what you're essentially doing is to align your mindset with where you want to go, where you want to be. And if you've been following me for a while, you know that I've got a coaching system. It's called the Sleeptrust Sleep Map. And there are 9 steps bringing people from often very bad sleep, low energy levels, back to those high energy levels and deep resting natural sleep. And the first 3 steps are all aligned with getting our mindset right. So this is essential. We all like to practice things, test things, take a supplement, do this or that. But reality and truth is, if we don't have our mindset backing us with where we want to go, our odds to fail are just so much higher. So take your time, and it's up to you, essentially. As always, you're the judge. You decide if you want to implement things like this, or if you want to move on just implementing sleep tips. There are a lot of sleep tips out there. I share a lot of sleep tips. Others share a lot of sleep tips. But if you want to follow a proven system, and if you want to make and take the right steps in the right order, then start with your mindset. And the goal card is just an essential tool to do so. You can also go to sleeptrust.eu and download, in the show notes of this week's podcast, you can download a free version of a goal card. You can use that. It might make the process a little bit easier for you to get started, but a slick sheet of paper and a pen will do the job. Just get started. And probably it's good if you listen to this podcast again before you start writing down everything. So essentially the 3 steps that you want to do right now, if you're serious about this, is first off to print your goal card, or to create a goal card, the structure, the 4 steps. Then you want to fill in the information, what you want to achieve, get specific about it, terminate it, and write down the little plan. And then you want to read it in the morning, first thing in the morning and last thing at night. This is really going to program your mind for success. It's going to set you up for success, because things that we do in the morning, first thing in the morning, get us aligned with where we want to go before outside demands kind of distract us. And things that we do right before we go to bed, fall asleep, are not only often things that pop up into our minds first thing in the morning again, but often we also come up with solutions. Like, we dream, we do fantastic stuff when we're sleeping, and you might have that inspiration of that one thing that will really help you to make the big next step back to your health, to superb sleep. I've achieved so many goals using these goal cards. It's just a fantastic tool, not only for your sleep, your health. You can use it with anything you want to achieve. And there's a reason why people like Tony Robbins, Bob Proctor, and so many more constantly work with writing down your goals, getting specific about them, emotionalizing them, and doing all the things that I wrapped together for you here. So this is nothing that I invented, not at all. It's something that I'm copying from a lot of people that are very, very successful when it comes to personal change, to improving your life. And that's why I can literally brag around with this stuff, because it's not from me, it's from other really smart people. I just hope that you use this and are motivated, that I got you motivated to give it a try, because I know depending on how you're structured character-wise, this might sound like, oh yeah, I know, I heard it a million times, or like, oh, that's really hokey, or like, how can I know which date I can put in there? And, nobody knows when I'm going to be able to sleep again. There are a lot of things how you could question this, but I recommend that you trust the millions of people that have had success doing this, following these simple steps. You've got a lot to win and nothing to lose, essentially, except a couple of minutes. And with that, let's wrap up this week's episode of the Sleep Trust podcast. To kickstart your health on the foundation of good, deep, natural resting sleep, write down your goal card today. Get very specific about the things that you want to achieve, when and why you want to achieve them. And then read these things twice a day, best first thing in the morning and last thing at night. And I'm convinced after doing this, you're well prepared for sleep success. And that's it for this week's episode of the Sleep Trust podcast. I hope you enjoyed yourself and that you tune in next week when I'm going to walk you through how getting up at 5 a.m. can get your mindset even more aligned when it comes to your sleep and health goals. Until then, have a superb sleep.
Hey there, and thanks for listening to the Sleep Trust podcast. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you want to get further information on this podcast or material that will help you to gain back your sleep trust, please check out sleeptrust.eu. That's sleeptrust.eu, where you will get lots of information around sleep. And here comes some legal stuff. Everything on this podcast is my opinion only, so do not take it as an advice, as I am not a doctor, nor have I considered your personal situation. If you feel that you need medical advice, please consider getting an appointment at your doctor of trust. If you want to give me any kind of feedback on this podcast, feel free to email me at podcast@sleeptrust.eu. I hope you tune in again next week, and until then, have a good sleep.